Hey everyone, it's Sam, and welcome back to the garden. So, let's talk about November. Most people see this month as the end of the gardening season, a time to pack up, clean tools, and wait for spring. But I see it differently. For me, November is the make or break month. It's the secret starting line for a truly epic garden year. What you do right now in these next few weeks determines whether your garden just survives or absolutely thrives through the winter and explodes with life come spring. This isn't about winding down, it's about gearing up for a whole new season of growth. The magic of November lies in a special group of crops that don't just tolerate the cold, they crave it. Frost and chilly nights actually improve their flavor, making them sweeter, crispier, and more nutrient-dense than anything you can grow in the summer heat. These are the plants that laugh at dropping temperatures and reward you with continuous harvests when everyone else's garden is bare. We're talking about a garden that keeps on giving, right through the holidays and into the new year. It's an opportunity to extend your season in a way you might not have thought possible. But here's the thing, the window is closing, and it's closing fast. There's a real sense of urgency here. You need to get these seeds and starts in the ground before the soil gets too cold and daylight hours shrink even further. This is your last shot to establish strong root systems that will power these plants through the winter. So today, I'm sharing my list of 30 cold-loving crops you absolutely must get in the ground. Plant these before time runs out, and you'll be harvesting all winter long. Let's get into it. First up, we have spinach. And let me tell you, winter spinach is a completely different vegetable from the stuff you grow in spring. The cold temperatures trigger a process called cold sweetening, where the plant converts starches into sugars to act as a natural antifreeze. This makes every leaf incredibly sweet and tender. When you plant a good patch in November, you're not just planting for one meal. You're setting yourself up for months of harvesting. You can come out here with your scissors, snip the outer leaves, and the plant just keeps producing from the center, giving you a steady supply for salads, smoothies, and sautés all winter long. The key is to get it established before the really hard freezes set in. A strong root system developed in the cool soil of November is what allows it to be so resilient. Even if the top growth gets knocked back by a really heavy frost, a well-rooted spinach plant will almost always bounce back as soon as things thaw out a little. It's one of the most reliable and rewarding winter greens you can possibly grow. Just keep it watered during dry spells, and it will reward you tenfold. Don't sleep on spinach this month. If there's one plant that defines a winter garden, it's kale. This stuff is practically indestructible. Just like spinach, kale benefits immensely from a good frost. That cold snap transforms its flavor, taking away any hint of bitterness and making the leaves remarkably sweet and crisp. I actually wait for the first frost before I even start harvesting my main crop of kale. It's a true survival plant. It can handle snow, ice, and freezing temperatures without missing a beat. Planting it in November gives it the perfect cool start it needs to become a robust powerhouse plant. What I love most about kale is its sheer reliability. When other, more delicate greens have given up, kale will still be standing tall, offering you nutrient-packed leaves. You can harvest it leaf by leaf, ensuring the plant stays productive for an incredibly long time, often right through winter and into the following spring. It's the plant that keeps on giving. Whether you like lacinato, red Russian, or curly kale, getting it in the ground now is a non-negotiable for a food-secure winter garden. It's your green insurance policy. Now, you might think lettuce is too delicate for winter, but you'd be wrong. November is actually the perfect time to plant loose-leaf lettuce mixes. The biggest problem with growing lettuce in spring and summer is bolting, where the plant prematurely goes to seed in the heat, turning the leaves bitter and inedible. In the cool, short days of winter, that's simply not a problem. The plants stay in a vegetative state, focusing all their energy on producing tender, delicious leaves for you to harvest. The strategy here is to sow a nice dense patch of a cut-and-come-again lettuce mix. These mixes often include varieties like oak leaf, red sales, and black seed Simpson, which are known for their cold tolerance. Because they grow so quickly in cool weather, you can start harvesting in just a few weeks. You just shear off the tops with scissors, leave the base of the plants intact, and they'll regrow for another harvest. You can do this multiple times, getting a continuous supply of fresh salad greens until the deepest, darkest part of winter. It's instant gratification for the fall garden. Alright folks, let's dive into the peppery powerhouse that is arugula. If you're looking for speed and flavor, planting arugula in November is the way to go. This amazing green grows at an incredible pace in cool weather. Now, while the summer heat can make arugula bolt almost instantly and turn it a bit too spicy, the chill of autumn mellows it out perfectly. You get that ideal peppery kick without it being overwhelming. It's one of the most productive plants you can have in your fall and winter garden, often ready for its first harvest in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. It's perfect for filling in any empty spaces you have left in your beds. Just like lettuce, arugula is a fantastic cut-and-come-again crop. You can broadcast the seeds fairly thickly, and once the leaves are a few inches tall, you just start cutting. It'll regrow vigorously, especially if you give it a little liquid fertilizer after a harvest. Those deep lobed leaves and zesty flavor add a gourmet touch to salads, sandwiches, and pizzas. For the small amount of space and effort it requires, the amount of food you get back is just astounding. Arugula is a must-have for any impatient gardener looking for quick results. Let's talk about a true winter warrior, Swiss chard. This plant is in the same family as beets and spinach, and it combines the best qualities of both. You get these big, beautiful, spinach-like leaves on thick, crunchy, celery-like stems. And the colors, from bright lights to Ford-hook giant, are just incredible. They can really brighten up a dreary winter garden. But the real reason to plant it in November is its incredible longevity. This is not a plant for a single season. It's a plant for the whole year. When you plant Swiss chard now, it will establish a deep, powerful root system over the winter. You can harvest leaves and stems throughout the coldest months. It's incredibly frost-tolerant. But the real payoff comes in the spring. While other greens are just getting started, your overwintered chard will explode with growth, giving you a massive early harvest. It's a biennial, meaning it won't go to seed until its second year. So a November planting can often provide you with food all the way through the next fall. It's one of the best investments you can make in your garden. Now, if you like a little spice in your life, you need to be growing mustard greens. These things absolutely explode in cold weather. While some greens slow down as the temperatures drop, mustards seem to speed up. They grow shockingly fast, often giving you harvestable leaves in under a month. The flavor is a wonderful, pungent spice, think wasabi or horseradish, that gets beautifully mellowed by the cold. A light frost can make them taste even better, adding a layer of sweetness to their natural heat. Besides being fast and delicious, mustard greens are also packed with immune-boosting compounds, making them a perfect food for the cold and flu season. You can sow them thickly and harvest them as tender baby greens for salads, or let them grow to full size for braising. Varieties like Florida broadleaf or giant red offer huge, tender leaves that are perfect for cooking down. They are incredibly productive, and a small patch can give you more greens than you know what to do with. For a fast, spicy, and healthy addition to your winter plate, mustard greens are a top choice. Now for a green you might not be as familiar with, but one you absolutely should be growing. Mizuna. This is a Japanese mustard green, but it's much milder and more delicate than its spicier cousins. It has a mild, peppery sweet flavor and beautiful, deeply serrated, feathery leaves that add incredible texture to salad mixes. The best part? It grows almost automatically. Mizuna is exceptionally cold-hardy and requires very little fuss. You just sprinkle the seeds, keep them moist, and it will grow. It's another fantastic cut-and-come-again crop. You can harvest the outer leaves, and the plant will continue to produce from the center for months. It's incredibly resistant to bolting in the cold, so you get a very long harvest window. Because it's so fast-growing, you can succession sow it every few weeks throughout the fall to ensure you have a constant supply of tender, young leaves all winter long. If you're looking for an easy, reliable, and slightly unusual green to add to your garden, Mizuna is a fantastic choice. It looks beautiful, tastes great, and asks for almost nothing in return. Cabbage is a long game, but the payoff is huge, and it all starts in November. Planting cabbage now might seem counterintuitive because it's a slow grower, but that's exactly the point. By getting your cabbage starts in the ground this month, you allow them to spend the entire winter developing a massive, robust root system. They won't put on a ton of top growth during the coldest months, but underneath the soil, they are building the engine that will power their explosive spring growth. This overwintering technique is the secret to growing those massive, dense, perfect heads of cabbage you see at farmers' markets. While spring-planted cabbage has to rush to form a head before the summer heat arrives, your fall-planted cabbage has a huge head start. As soon as the days start to lengthen in late winter and early spring, these plants will take off, forming big, sweet, crisp heads weeks or even months before anyone else. It's a bit of a leap of faith, but trust me, when you're harvesting giant cabbages in April, you'll be glad you played the long game. Collard greens are a true superstar of the garden because they have an incredible range of tolerance. They can handle the summer heat better than most brassicas, but they also thrive in the cold. In fact, just like their cousins kale and cabbage, their flavor is dramatically improved by frost. A good cold snap makes the leaves sweet and tender, removing any trace of bitterness. Planting them in November sets them up perfectly to benefit from this winter sweetening. Collards are incredibly productive. You plant them as small starts in the fall, and you can begin harvesting the lower leaves as soon as they are big enough. The plant will continue to grow upwards, like a little tree, producing more and more leaves from the top. A single planting in November can provide you with fresh greens all winter, all spring, and often well into the next summer. They are a staple of southern cooking for a reason. They are reliable, delicious, and they just keep producing. For a steady supply of big, nutritious leaves, get your collards in the ground now. Here's a crop that absolutely despises summer heat, but honestly, just adores the cool weather of fall and winter. Bok choy, also known as pak choy. If you've ever tried to grow this in the spring, you know how quickly it can bolt as soon as the weather warms up. But November is its prime time. The cool days and chilly nights are exactly what it needs to form those beautiful, crisp, vase-shaped heads with tender leaves and crunchy white stems. It grows relatively quickly, too. You can harvest it at multiple stages. You can sow it thickly and harvest the baby leaves for salads in just a few weeks, or you can thin the plants out and let them grow to full size for stir-fries and braising. Because it's so fast-growing, you can get in a quick crop before the harshest part of winter arrives. In milder climates, you can plant it now and harvest it all winter long. If you love Asian cuisine or just want a versatile, fast-growing green that thrives in the cold, bok choy is an excellent addition to your November planting list. Let's move on to the root crops, starting with carrots. Just like with spinach and kale, cold temperatures are a carrot's best friend. As the soil gets chilly, carrots convert their starches into sugars to prevent their cells from freezing. This makes fall and winter harvested carrots unbelievably sweet and flavorful, far superior to any carrot you can buy at the store. Planting them in November allows them to mature during the coldest part of the year, maximizing this sweetening process. My tip for a November planting is to choose shorter, faster maturing varieties like Paris Market or Danvers Half Long. These varieties are less likely to struggle in heavy or cold soil and will give you a harvest more quickly. You can heavily mulch your carrot bed with straw or shredded leaves after planting. This insulates the soil, protects the roots from hard freezes, and allows you to come out and harvest them as needed all winter long. It's like having a natural refrigerator right in your garden. There's nothing better than pulling a sweet, crisp carrot from the cold ground in the middle of winter. Beets are an incredible 2-for-1 crop, and they are perfect for a November planting. You get the sweet, earthy roots, but you also get the delicious, nutritious leaves, which are very similar to Swiss chard. This double productivity makes them an extremely efficient use of garden space, especially in the winter when space is at a premium. Like carrots, beets become much sweeter when they mature in cold soil, so a fall planting results in the best-tasting roots. The beet greens are actually more cold-tolerant than the roots themselves. You can harvest the outer leaves throughout the early winter while the root is still sizing up underground. Just be sure to leave some leaves on the plant to continue fueling its growth. Then, as winter progresses, you can harvest the sweet, tender roots. Planting them now gives them plenty of time to get established before the ground freezes solid. Varieties like Detroit Dark Red or the beautiful Chioggia are reliable choices for overwintering. Don't miss out on this double-duty vegetable. If you need a gardening win and you need it fast, plant radishes. I call them the fastest crop alive for a reason. Many varieties, like Cherry Belle or French Breakfast, can go from seed to harvest in as little as 25 to 30 days. This means if you plant them in early November, you can easily be harvesting them by the end of the month or in early December, before the most severe winter weather hits. They are the perfect crop for impatient gardeners or for filling in small, empty pockets in your garden beds. The cool weather of fall is ideal for radishes. Heat makes them woody and, honestly, way too spicy. But the cold keeps them crisp, juicy, and gives them a pleasant, mild heat. They don't need a lot of daylight to mature, which is perfect for the short days of November. You can sow a new batch every 2 weeks for a continuous harvest. And don't forget that radish greens are also edible. You can toss them into salads or sauté them like any other green. For a quick, easy, and satisfying crop, radishes are just unbeatable. Turnips are one of the most underrated vegetables in the garden, and they are incredibly well suited for a November planting. They are exceptionally hardy, reliable, and surprisingly versatile. Like beets, they offer a double harvest: the classic purple-topped white root and the peppery, nutrient-packed turnip greens. In fact, some varieties are grown exclusively for their delicious greens. Planting now gives them the cool conditions they love to develop sweet, tender roots without becoming woody. Turnips are relatively fast growers, with many varieties maturing in about 50 to 60 days. This means a November planting can give you a harvest in the heart of winter. The roots store incredibly well in the cold ground under a layer of mulch or in a root cellar. You can roast them, mash them, or add them to soups and stews. The greens are a classic southern side dish, and they are packed with vitamins. If you're looking for a reliable, low-maintenance, and productive crop to get you through the winter, give turnips a try. If there is one root vegetable that absolutely requires cold to be at its best, it's the parsnip. Parsnips are inedible, starchy, and bland if harvested before they've been exposed to several hard frosts. The cold is what triggers the conversion of those starches into sugars, giving them their unique, sweet, nutty, and complex flavor. This makes November the absolute perfect time to plant them. You sow the seeds now, and then you just forget about them until spring. Parsnips are very slow to germinate and grow, so you need to be patient. You plant them in the fall, they'll establish a small root over the winter, and then they'll sit dormant. The magic happens underground as the frosts work on them. Then, in early spring, just before they start to send up new top growth, you harvest them. The flavor of an overwintered parsnip is a culinary revelation. It's an exercise in patience, but the reward is one of the most delicious root vegetables you will ever taste. We have arrived at the undisputed king of November, planting garlic. There is just no better time to plant garlic than right now. It's honestly such a simple and rewarding process. You take a single clove of garlic, plant it a few inches deep, and by next summer, it will have transformed into a full, multi-cloved bulb. It's, honestly, one of the most magical and satisfying things you can do in a garden. Planting in the fall is essential for most types of garlic, especially the hardneck varieties. The cloves need a period of cold dormancy over the winter, which is called vernalization. This cold period is what signals the clove to divide and form a full bulb. If you plant garlic in the spring, you'll often just get a single, large, round clove instead of a proper head. So, by planting in November, you are giving the garlic exactly what it needs. You just plant it, mulch it heavily with straw, and, well, forget about it until it sends up green shoots in the spring. It's the ultimate plant and forget crop, and the flavor of homegrown garlic is, honestly, infinitely better than anything from the store. If you love the flavor of onions and garlic, you really need to be growing shallots. They have a milder, sweeter, more complex flavor that is totally prized by chefs. And here's a secret. They are often even easier to grow than onions. Just like garlic, shallots are typically planted in the fall. You plant a single shallot bulb, and over the season it will multiply underground into a cluster of 5, 10, or even 15 new shallots. It's an incredible return on your investment. Planting them in November gives them the cold period they need to get established and prepare for vigorous spring growth. They require very little care once they're in the ground. Just plant them in well-drained soil, mulch them, and make sure they get enough water in the spring as they start to bulb up. Because they are more valuable and expensive than onions at the grocery store, growing your own is a huge win for both your wallet and your kitchen. For a gourmet touch and an easy harvest, get some shallot sets in the ground this month. Onions are another allium that honestly greatly benefits from a fall planting. You can plant both bulb onions and bunching onions, or spring onions, right now. For bulb onions, planting in the fall is the secret to getting those truly jumbo-sized bulbs. Just like with cabbage, an overwintered onion plant develops a massive root system that fuels incredible top growth in the spring. This leads to much larger bulbs than you could ever get from a spring planting. You'll want to choose short day or intermediate day varieties depending on your location. For spring onions or scallions, a November planting gives you a super early harvest. You can plant seeds or sets, and they'll grow slowly through the winter, ready for you to pull as tender green onions in the early spring, long before your spring-sown seeds have even germinated. It's a great way to get a head start on the season. Whether you're after giant storage onions or the first fresh taste of spring, getting your onions in the ground in November is definitely the way to go. Let's talk about one of the weirdest looking and most wonderful vegetables you can grow. Kohlrabi. It looks like a little alien spaceship with a swollen stem that grows above the ground and leaves sticking out from all sides. That swollen stem is the part you eat, and it has a fantastic, mild, sweet flavor and a crisp, crunchy texture somewhere between a cabbage heart and a broccoli stem. It's delicious raw in salads or slaws, or cooked in soups and roasts. Kohlrabi loves cool weather, which makes November a great time to get it started, especially in milder climates. You can plant it from seed or starts, and it matures relatively quickly, often ready by early spring. Because it grows above ground, it's a great choice for heavy clay soils where root vegetables might struggle. It's super productive, and it's a vegetable that will definitely get people talking. If you want to grow something unique, delicious, and productive, give kohlrabi a try. Leeks are the gentle giants of the allium family. They don't form a bulb like onions or garlic. Instead, you grow them for their long, thick, blanched stems. They have a mild, sweet, oniony flavor that is absolutely essential for soups, stews, and dishes like potato leek soup. Leeks are incredibly cold hardy. In fact, many varieties can be planted in the fall and harvested all the way through the winter and into the next year. They just stand there in the garden waiting for you. When you plant leeks in the fall, they have a long, slow-growing season to bulk up and become truly massive. The key to getting those long, white, tender stems is to blanch them by mounding soil up around the base of the plant as it grows. This protects the stem from sunlight and keeps it from turning green and tough. Planting leek seedlings now is an investment in a year-long harvest. They are one of the most reliable and rewarding winter vegetables you can grow. If you have ever tried to grow cilantro in the summer, you know the pain. The moment it gets warm, it bolts. It sends up a flower stalk, and the leaf production stops. It's incredibly frustrating. But here's the secret. Cilantro is a cool season herb. It absolutely thrives in the fall and early winter. Frost doesn't kill it. In fact, a light frost can even improve its flavor. November is, without a doubt, the best season to grow an abundance of cilantro. You can sow the seeds directly in the garden or in a pot, and it will germinate quickly in the cool soil. It won't have any inclination to bolt, so it will just keep producing its delicious, pungent leaves for weeks and weeks. You can succession sow it every few weeks to guarantee a continuous harvest for all your salsas, tacos, and curries. If you love cilantro, stop fighting with it in the summer and embrace it now. You'll be amazed at how easy and productive it can be. Much like cilantro, dill is another herb that can be tricky in the summer heat, often bolting before you get a good harvest of the foliage, or dill weed. But in the cool air of autumn, dill just explodes with growth. It produces an abundance of its feathery, aromatic leaves, which are perfect for flavoring fish, potatoes, soups, and making homemade ranch dressing. A November planting will give you a long, continuous harvest of dill weed without the threat of premature flowering. Dill is, honestly, incredibly easy to grow from seed. You just sprinkle the seeds where you want them to grow, and they really take care of themselves. The cool weather keeps the foliage lush and tender. If you let some of it eventually flower in the spring, you can then harvest the dill seeds, which have a completely different, more pungent flavor that's essential for pickling. So, you actually get 2 harvests from one plant. For a low-effort, high-reward herb, get some dill seeds in the ground. Parsley is a must-have herb in any kitchen garden, and it's perfect for a November planting because it's a biennial. This means it has a 2-year life cycle. When you plant it in the fall, it will focus on establishing a strong root system and producing leaves throughout its first year. It will survive the winter, it's very cold hardy, and then continue to produce an abundance of leaves all through the following spring and summer. It won't try to flower and go to seed until its 2nd year. This means a single planting in November gives you a harvest that can last for over a year. You can come out and snip fresh parsley for your dishes whenever you need it. Whether you prefer the flat-leaf Italian parsley for its robust flavor or the curly parsley for its use as a garnish, planting it now is the smartest way to ensure a long and steady supply. It's an easy, reliable, and incredibly useful herb that just keeps on giving. Chives are a member of the allium family, and they are one of the most resilient and persistent herbs you can grow. Cold simply does not stop them. While a very hard freeze might cause the green tops to die back to the ground, the bulbous base underground is incredibly hardy. As soon as there's a mild spell, or in the very early spring, they will be one of the very first things to send up fresh green shoots. Planting them in the fall allows them to get well established before winter. You can plant chives from seed or, more easily, from divisions. If you have a friend with a patch of chives, just ask for a small clump. Once you have them for life. They will slowly spread into a larger clump each year, giving you more and more to harvest. Their mild, oniony flavor is just perfect for sprinkling on potatoes, eggs, and salads. They are really the definition of a low-maintenance, high-reward plant. Get them in the ground, and you'll have fresh chives for years to come. Thyme is a woody, perennial herb that is an absolute workhorse in the garden. Many varieties are evergreen, meaning they will hold their fragrant leaves all winter long, even under a blanket of snow. It's incredibly hardy and drought-tolerant once established. Planting it in the fall gives it time to settle in and develop its roots before the stress of summer heat or deep winter cold. It's a true plant-and-forget herb. There are so many varieties to choose from classic English thyme to citrusy lemon thyme. It's perfect for flavoring soups, stews, roasts, and poultry. Because it stays green all winter, you can wander out to the garden in December or January and still harvest fresh thyme for your cooking. It's a wonderful aromatic ground cover that requires almost no care once it's happy. For a permanent year-round supply of one of the most essential culinary herbs, plant thyme this November. Now we're getting into some really exciting territory. Broad beans, also known as fava beans, are a secret weapon for the fall garden. In many climates, you can plant them in November for a truly massive spring harvest. The plants will germinate and grow into small, sturdy plants over the winter. They are incredibly cold-hardy and can handle temperatures well below freezing. This overwintering gives them a huge head start on the season. The result? Your overwintered broad beans will start producing weeks or even months before spring-sown beans. And the yield is often significantly higher. I'm talking a 10 times yield in some cases. They fix nitrogen in the soil, improving it for whatever you plant next. You get a huge harvest of delicious protein-packed beans in the spring, and you've improved your soil at the same time. It's honestly one of the best win-win situations in all of gardening. Snow peas, with their tender, edible pods, are a cool season crop that can be planted in the fall for an extra early spring harvest. The vines themselves are quite cold tolerant. In many zones, you can plant the seeds in November, and they will either germinate and grow into small plants that go dormant, or the seeds themselves will lie dormant in the cold soil, ready to sprout at the first hint of spring. Either way, you get a significant head start. This means you'll be harvesting crisp, sweet snow pea pods for your stir-fries and salads weeks before anyone who waited until spring to plant. You'll need to provide them with a trellis to climb on, but they are very easy to grow. The key is to get them in the ground now so they can take advantage of the cool, moist conditions of late winter and early spring to produce a bountiful crop before the summer heat, which they really don't like, arrives. Everything I just said about snow peas also applies to their even sweeter cousin, the sugar snap pea. These are the ones with the plump, juicy, fully edible pods that you can eat straight off the vine. Honestly, they are like candy. And just like snow peas, they thrive in cool weather and can be planted in November for an incredibly early and productive spring harvest. Overwintering the seeds or young plants is the professional grower's trick to getting the earliest and best crop. Imagine harvesting handfuls of sweet, crunchy sugar snap peas in April. That's what a November planting can do for you. They will need a sturdy trellis, as the vines can get quite tall and heavy with pods. But really, the effort is more than worth it. There is simply no comparison between a homegrown sugar snap pea, picked and eaten within seconds, and the ones you buy at the store. For a truly sweet spring treat, get your sugar snap pea seeds planted now. This one looks like garlic on steroids, but it's technically not a true garlic. Elephant garlic is actually a type of leek that forms a giant bulb. And when I say giant, I mean it. A single bulb can be the size of a fist, with individual cloves as large as a whole head of regular garlic. It has a much milder, sweeter flavor than true garlic, with hints of onion and leek. It's fantastic for roasting, as the flavor becomes very mellow and spreadable. Just like true garlic, elephant garlic needs to be planted in the fall. You plant the individual large cloves in November, and they require that winter cold period to trigger proper bulb formation. The process is identical to planting regular garlic, but the reward is these massive, impressive bulbs. Because the flavor is so mild, you can use a lot more of it in your cooking. If you want to grow something that will truly wow your friends and family, plant some elephant garlic. I've saved one of the best for last. This is perpetual spinach, and if you plant only one thing from this entire list, it should be this. Now, it's not a true spinach, it's actually a type of chard, but it has the taste and texture of spinach without any of the bitterness that chard can sometimes have. The name says it all, perpetual. You plant this once, and you can be harvesting from it for a year, or even longer. It is the most productive, reliable, and easy-to-grow green I have ever encountered. It's incredibly cold-hardy, but it's also much more heat-tolerant and bolt-resistant than true spinach. This means a November planting will give you leaves all winter, a massive explosion of growth in the spring, and it will keep producing through the summer when all your other spinach has given up. You just harvest the outer leaves, and it keeps making more. This single plant can provide a family with a steady supply of cooking greens for an entire year. It is, without a doubt, worth the price of admission for this whole list. You have to grow this. And there you have it, 30 incredible crops that you can and should be planting right now in November. I hope you can see now why I get so excited about this time of year. This isn't the end of the season. It's the secret beginning of the next one. What you do in your garden over these next few weeks will echo throughout the entire year. November decides your garden year. Making the choice to plant now is the difference between a garden that lies dormant and one that provides you with fresh, healthy, and delicious food right through the coldest months and gives you a massive head start on spring. These crops don't just survive the cold, they are transformed by it, becoming sweeter and more delicious than you can imagine. From the sweet crunch of a winter carrot to the endless supply of perpetual spinach, the potential in your November garden is immense. But remember, this opportunity is fleeting. The days are getting shorter, and the ground is getting colder. You need to act now. Plant these before your time runs out, and you'll be rewarded with a garden that truly thrives all year long. It's a small amount of effort now for a massive payoff later. Now I know what you might be thinking, wow, this is a great list, but which of these will work best for my specific garden, in my exact climate? That is the most important question, and I have an answer for you. If you want to know which of these crops will grow best in your exact climate, watch my video. Don't plant anything in November until you know this. It breaks down how to understand your zone and microclimate to guarantee success. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Until next time, good luck and happy gardening.